If you're a small business owner, freelancer, or side hustler, and you hired anyone to do work for you in your business, you might be required to file an IRS Form 1099 NEC. That's for non-employee compensation. It's going to be very confusing. I know, I've been there. The good news is you don't need to stress over this, trying to decode the IRS website, or hiring an expensive accountant, or waste hours trying to figure it all out. You can actually do it yourself in about 5 minutes using a tool that's simple, fast, and IRS compliant. The software is Tax 1099, one of my go-to tools for e-filing 1099s. And although this video is sponsored by them, I wouldn't be making this video if I didn't fully have confidence in their platform. So stick with me. I'll show you exactly how to file a 1099 NEC step by step, and I've got a special coupon code that can also save you money. Hi, I'm Noel Lorenzana. I'm a CPA with over 25 years of real-world experience, and if you're like me, you probably dread filing 1099s at the end of the year. But don't worry, I've got you covered. First off, what is a 1099 NEC? The 1099 NEC is a tax form used to report non-employee compensation. If you paid a contractor, freelancer, or service provider $600 or more during the year in 2025, and they're not your employee, you probably need to file one. For tax years 2026 and beyond, the threshold increases to $2,000, and for the years following, it'll be inflation adjusted. If you want to, you can learn more about that up here in this video. So who doesn't need to file a 1099 NEC? Now, if you paid them by credit card, PayPal, or platforms like Stripe, you generally don't need to issue the form since those third-party platforms already report their own 1099 activity. Also, if their W-9 shows they're taxed as a C Corp or an S Corp, then typically no 1099 is required. Real quick about the W-9, this is the form your contractor fills out to give you their name, address, and taxpayer ID number. And it's what you'll use to complete the 1099 NEC. Keep in mind, you don't send the W-9 to the IRS, but you do need to keep it for your records. And Tax 1099 actually lets you request it electronically right inside the platform. Super helpful, especially if you forgot to get it earlier. Here's the information you'll need to have on file before filing. You'll need your business information, that's your name, EIN or social security number, and your address. You'll need the contractor's name, their tax ID number, and their address. This information would be on the Form W-9 you would have received from the contractor. You'll also need the total amount you paid them. If you don't have that information handy, that's why it's important to have a good bookkeeping system in place. And if required, any state tax information as well. This is very important. Deadlines. The 1099 NEC is due January 31 after the year end. That's when it has to be filed with the IRS and sent to your independent contractor. So don't procrastinate on this. Let's walk through it together as I share my screen. All right, here we are. I've navigated to the tax1099.com website. Okay, this all looks pretty good. Award-winning IRS authorized e-filing platform. Let's click on e-file now. Okay, and here we are. All right, this is a pretty nice dashboard we have here. It says, "Hi Noel, welcome to Tax 1099. We can create a form, add payer, add recipient, and add funds." I guess that's when you need to check out. So we want to create a form here, and that's what we're going to do. There's a handy video you can watch for each segment, which is nice. So we're going to go to Get Started Now. Tax year 2025. Perfect. We're going to pick this one here, 1099 NEC, non-employee compensation. Okay, so single filing, import bulk data. Okay, you could do either one. Payer. The payer is you, the business owner, the person who is issuing the 1099. So we're going to add a payer here. Disregarded entity, no. And just so you know, a disregarded entity is an LLC that has one member. It's classified by default as a disregarded entity by the IRS. Okay, address. Okay, that all looks good. I'm going to click on save. Okay, that is saved. So under payer, my information is saved here. Very good. Now we come down to adding a recipient. So this is also known as our payee. We are the payer. This is the payee or the recipient. Okay, so if you had information from the prior year, I believe it would populate here, or if it was imported, we're going to manually add a recipient. Okay, it could be an individual or it could be a business. In this case, it will be an individual who is receiving this 1099. And let's just put in some information here. Okay, email address. Now, I recommend putting in an email address because you can actually have the 1099 electronically delivered, and you'll see that in a bit. And I think that's it. Okay, we're going to click on save. Now, if it were a business, you would click business up here and you would enter their tax ID number, also known as EIN, employer identification number. Okay, we're going to click on save. Okay, separate state filing required. All right, let's see here. Separate state filing is required on a voluntary basis for this form. Based on the information you entered, Tax 1099 can complete this voluntary Illinois state filing for 99 cents per recipient. Would you like Tax 1099 to handle the state filing for you? Yes, let's click on yes. That's only 99 cents. This is for tax year 2025. The non-employee compensation amount was, let's say, $5,000. And for box 4, you would generally enter the federal income tax withheld if there were any. In this case, it's 0. Most people don't withhold federal taxes for contractor payments. And down here, if you had any state withholdings, you'd indicate that down here. Okay, Illinois selected. This looks pretty good. We're going to click on save and continue because we don't have any more 1099s to file. All right, so here we are. This looks pretty good. This is the tab unsubmitted forms, which you can see up here. And if we scroll down, just review everything. Today's 9/26, $5,000. You can confirm email address for the recipient. Now you have some options here. We're going to click on USPS mail. It can also be e-delivered. And there's a TIN matching service, which they will match the taxpayer identification number with their database. If it doesn't come back correct, they'll let you know. So that's a nice feature to have, and I would recommend checking that box. And let's click on submit for this payer. Okay, so you have for the TIN matching, you have two options, real time or real time TIN match not required. So we don't need real time, so we're going to click on that. Okay, so here we are. This is a breakdown of the billing. We have one 1099, that's at $2.99, TIN verification, 37 cents, USPS mailing fee, $1.85, e-delivery fee, 25 cents, state filing fee, 99 cents, estimated tax, 0. Okay, this all looks really good. Let's click on Pay Now and see what happens. Okay, so this is a little confusing here because you can't click on the Pay Now button here, but you can click down here, Pay Using Credit Card. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do pay via card only at $6.45. Pay using a new card. I'm going to enter the information down here. I'm going to enter the card information. Okay, great. I've got all the information in here. Let's click on Pay Now. Excellent. Payment successful. Your payment has been processed. Details of transactions are included below. Let's go back to the dashboard, see what that looks like. So unsubmitted forms, no data found because we have submitted the form. That's it, and we're done. And you can use these other tabs to check the status of your submitted form. I won't do that right now because this is just a staging website. But you would find that under here, federal, state, rejected forms, if there were any, and then you'd click on submitted forms to find the forms that were submitted. Okay, let me just check a few things here. Okay, here we go. So if you click on recipients over here, you can see that our recipient, Jordan Quick, TIN match status is processing, consent status is pending, because they need to consent in advance if they're willing to receive the 1099 by email. And then it will show you yes, or approved after that consent has been accepted. So this is really neat. We can request a W-9 right from the platform. So all you do is you select the recipient right over here, request W-9. We're going to click on this, request, and we're going to click on W-9 request. And we're going to click on selected recipients because we only need one. And here we go. It says a W-9 request has been submitted for one recipient. Click on proceed to continue sending W-9 request. That costs $1. So you just go through this process, pay using a credit card, which you would enter down here. And we're going to click on pay now. Very good. Now it shows W-9 requests sent on 9/26/2025. And if you send it and you still don't get it back, you can click on re-request right here. A great tip is don't release your payment to your contractor until you get the W-9, because as you may know, it can be quite a hassle to try to get it after the fact. And that's about it. You may be wondering about pricing comparisons. Let's talk about that for a second, because price always matters. Tax 1099 uses tiered pricing, which means the more forms you file, the cheaper it gets per form. There are no hidden fees, no subscriptions, and no surprises. They even have a handy price calculator right on their website so you can plug in your numbers and see exactly what it'll cost before you file. All right, check this out. Number of forms. One form, $2.99 each. 10 forms, it's still $2.99 each. If you go up to 100 forms, it's $2.44 each. And if somehow it's 1,000 forms, it's $1.16 each. And if you add another zero, you can get a custom quote. Pretty cool. And compared to QuickBooks or other 1099 software, Tax 1099 is almost always more affordable, especially if you're not using QuickBooks for anything else. And if you are using QuickBooks, it can be easily integrated and payer data can be imported for easier filing. Something to keep in mind are late filing penalties. If you miss the deadline or forget to file, the IRS can hit you with steep penalties, anywhere from $60 to $660 per form in 2025. And that's depending on how late you are. And if you don't file at all, the IRS could actually disallow the deduction entirely, meaning you could owe additional taxes on money you already paid to your contractor. So yeah, don't be late and don't procrastinate on these. A common question that comes up is, do you need to file Form 1096? In case you didn't know, this is the 1099 transmittal form, which summarizes all the 1099s you're filing for the IRS. Now, if you're e-filing like we are here, you do not need to file Form 1096. That form is only required for paper filing, which, trust me, is slow, inconvenient, and kind of old school anyway. Just another reason to go with online tax software like Tax 1099. Here are some other forms you can file with Tax 1099. Common forms like 1099 MISC, which is miscellaneous, W-2s, 941 payroll forms. This is helpful if you do your own payroll, and a bunch more as you can see here, all from the same dashboard. If you're running a business, chances are you'll need one of these forms at some point. So it's nice to have them all in one place. So that's about it. Now you know how to file a 1099 NEC in just a few minutes without the stress. No confusing IRS forms, no overpriced software, just a clean, simple process with Tax 1099. Whether you're filing one form or 100, Tax 1099 makes it pretty easy and helps you stay compliant, avoid penalties, and look professional. And don't forget, you can save a little cash by using my coupon code Noel15 at checkout. If you have a question or get stuck, leave your question below. I'll do my best to help you free of charge as long as I have time. If this video helped you out, do me a favor and give the video a big fat like. Thank you so much for watching.